And welcome back to a new edition of the Skating Penguin Network Mailbag, everyone. It is Robbie here with Snail again. And Snail, right now we are in the midst of some pretty serious thunderstorms where I'm at. So if I cut out, it will be because of technical issues. But how are things on your side of the country?
There's not a cloud in the sky, and it's about, let's see, just for accuracy's sake, it is 73 degrees. So,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
just
We're gonna get some of that weather here over the weekend, so looking forward to that. But it is definitely bad now, but it sounds like it's beautiful out there in Seattle.
absolutely beautiful. It's going to be a high of 74. Like I said, not a single cloud in the entire sky, no smoke, no haze. It's clear. Feels like back to school. You know what I mean? Feels like a nice day
Yep,
back
yep,
going back to like elementary or something. But
absolutely.
thunderstorms, those are always interesting.
Yeah,
Startling. If you live in an area with trees, like maybe a tree branch or two down on the road. Hopefully, you don't get cut out of here. Hopefully, there's no technical issues. But
yep,
exciting stuff. Yep. Just we're almost there, dude. It's almost September.
yeah. We are definitely in the final stretch here of August. It is August 29th. We're recording this. It'll be at least August 30th to you guys can listen to it. But by the time we record our next episode, it will be um, September, which means fall, hockey, football, all the sports you can think of getting kind of going, baseball wrapping up into the playoffs, but it's going to be quite a time. So let's just skip all the small talk now, and let's move on to our mailbag. Another 8 questions here.
Another eight
So
questions. Yep.
yeah, so
Um,
let's get to some of these for you guys. Mostly Brian and Kim today.
Mostly Brian and Kim. Thank you guys for contributing. Let's see here. Let's kick it off with Brian. He asks you, Robbie, what's a game that you can't believe you were in attendance for, but glad that you were? For Brian, it was Sid's comeback game against the Islanders and Scud's saving a goal in Game 6 for the '09 finals are the two that stand out most for me. That's pretty epic. Honorable mention is Gino's hat trick versus the Canes in the '09 playoffs.
Can't believe that's an honorable mention. That's crazy. Um, I was at what turned I didn't know it at the time, but it was game 2 of the 2017 Eastern Conference Finals, 1-0 win by the Penguins. That ended up being Fleury's last win with the Penguins, last shutout, and last home start with the Penguins. He started game 3 before being pulled for
Wow.
Matt Murray. I was there. I was at the year before in 2016. I was at game 3 against the Capitals in the second round. It was a Matt Murray masterclass, like 50 saves or something like that. I saw one of the crazier ones. It was just a normal regular season game, but they gave out. You know what a sock monkey is? I'm assuming the
Yeah.
stuff. Well, they gave out Penguins. I still have mine. Penguins as a promotion, and Chris Kunitz scored a hat trick, and just sock monkeys everywhere, all over
That's
the
pretty
place.
sick.
It
That
was.
that
It was
that would be a
crazy
great memory. Kunitz
because
hat trick. Not it's not. He wasn't known for scoring three very
no,
often.
there were a couple of games like when they were really at their peak where they would post a hat trick on hat night, but sock monkey night was crazy because it was just like thousands of these stuffed animals raining down. It was a pretty memorable sight. It's one game that I definitely think back on just because
Yeah.
it was a run of the mill regular season game. Nothing too crazy about it. Um, but it's just one of those moments. I was at the 2000. I think there was even a question about it. Brian asked. He mentioned the 2011 Winter Classic. Um, I was at that game. I got tickets for Christmas. Obviously, a lot bad happened in that game, but it was still a super cool event to be at. I'm really glad I got to attend an outdoor game for the Penguins in the NHL. It was really cool. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, the memorable ones are obviously the playoff games, but the the sock monkey hat trick is one that always kind of sticks with me because it probably never happened again. It was just a very cool moment.
They'll never do sock monkeys again because of the mess they had to clean up.
No, it was like an impromptu teddy bear night, like you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically that. It was an impromptu teddy bear night, but the sock monkeys got donated, so all's well that ends well. I still have mine though. I still have mine. I'll have to maybe bring him on the show
Yeah,
one of these times because it's one that I've held on to. So yeah,
break
good
that
times.
out. Good luck,
Good
Sean.
times. Yeah, good times. All right, stick with Brian here. Kind of in the vein of Rucker McGrody.
You're gonna have a hell of a time
I was gonna
saying
have a
that
heck of a
guy's name.
time. Dr. McGrody. Okay, so he asks, do you think Cutter Gauthier started this trend with refusing to sign with the team that drafted him? After Gauthier, we saw Askarov refuse to play for Nashville, and now McGrody coming to the Penguins from Winnipeg. So do you think this is a trend that Gauthier started or something that maybe we've seen in the past, but maybe we'll see more of now in the future?
I don't think he's kicking off the trend because, I mean, you can think back. I mean, it wasn't college hockey, but Eric Lindros was the big kind of one of the first guys with a lot of expectations behind him. He was in the OHL though, so a little bit different. Everyone remembers he didn't want to sign with Quebec, and he ended up going to the Flyers, and a lot of drama behind that. So he was kind of the first guy that was like with stature. I mean, back then too, you could only do that if you were like Eric Lindros. You couldn't do it if you were a fourth line plug. But like Adam Fox did it, didn't he? Adam Fox was at Harvard. He was at Harvard University and he got picked by the Flames. And then I think he told them he was not going to report to them. And then I think he got picked up. I could be wrong about this, but I want to say they traded his rights to Carolina, said he's not signing there either. And then he ended up signing with his hometown New York Rangers and he won the Norris like a year or two later. So
yeah, go ahead.
no, it's just there was a couple other guys too.
Jimmy Vesey is one that comes to my mind.
That's who it was. Jimmy Vesey was. I remember there was like Vesey Watch. There were like there were like Broadway superstars tweeting at him like come to New York, and then he's a fourth liner now. Like his career did not pan out like I think they expected. He was not the college play did not translate to the NHL. He's been waived, he's been traded. I think he's back with the Rangers now in kind of a depth role. But Alex Kerfoot's another guy. I think he's kind of a bottom six player at this point in his career. He was kind of a top six guy for Colorado and Toronto, I think, or middle six guy in Toronto for a while. He was picked by New Jersey, another Harvard guy, and he ended up not reporting to. He wasn't going to sign with his team. So it's happened before. I think Cutter Gauthier. I could be wrong about this, Robbie. You tell me, but the Cutter Gauthier one, I think, got blown up a little bit out of proportion because I think people were speculative that it was, well, one, the Flyers in Philadelphia, their management along with their fan base is quite loud. They you know, when you have those personalities, they have Torts as a head coach. I remember a lot of people being like, I don't blame him. Who wants to play for Torts at a young age like that? Young stud coming into the league. Maybe he didn't want to have to go through the rigmarole with John Tortorella. I don't know. I thought it got blown a little bit out of proportion, and simply because of the Flyers bias.
That doesn't surprise me at all the way they reacted. They were mega butthurt about that too. Like, seriously, crybabies about that. And I understand it sucks, but Jamie Drysdale was not the worst return on that.
No, pretty good return.
Yeah, and we have no idea if Cutter Gauthier is going to pan out at the NHL level. So it's kind of a risk for the Ducks, but if he does pan out, then it's a good trade for them. But I think overall, and the same thing goes for the Penguins and Jets. Like, there's no guarantee that either of these guys work out, but if it does work out for both of them, then because it doesn't sound like McGrody was going to Winnipeg at all, so they had to get something. They did, and the Penguins got a piece they wanted as well.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how McGrody turns out. Let's hope like that one reporter you sent me off air, where they said that he's the next McKinnon.
Oh yeah,
that we sent. What's his name? Yeager.
Yeager
apparently is the next McKinnon, according to some writer from Florida. So let's hope that's not the case. Let's see. Moving on here. Question number 3 from Brian, and we got to get into this question, Robbie. This has been a question that has been posed to us before, and we just must not have ever gotten to the bottom of this question. So, Brian asks here: if you're deaf, what language do you think in?
Well, I got an answer.
There is an answer on the internet then.
Yes, yes, it is. The most common answer is they actually speak in sign language.
There you
Um,
have it.
Now, there are some people that, if they go through speech training, can speak, like, if they will think in whatever language they're taught in, because you know that the deaf people can't always speak as well. They can be mute, but they can go through speech training, and if they say get trained in English, they will think in English. They don't necessarily, but they can pronounce the words. But if they are strictly sign language speakers, they will think in sign language. So that is the answer. That there's studies done on this. They think in sign. They predominantly think in sign language, or whatever language they speak if they have, um, um, if they have uh, training in that whatever language they trained in.
I guess that makes sense. When I saw this question, I was thinking like, what if they thought in like, what's like a really early language, like Sanskrit or like Latin, something creepy like that, like the old ass languages.
Yeah, like a very old, like Aramaic or
Yeah,
something like that. Absolutely.
they just thinking that.
Yep.
That's crazy. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. I think because we've just spoke English our whole lives since we were young, it's weird to think about. But if you don't speak and you use, sign language to talk, like that would just be the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's your question. I know Brian asked that question before. So Brian, you have your answer there now, that deaf individuals speak in sign language or whatever language they're traded in. So mark that one off the books for us. And moving on to Kim here. If you could get a ticket for either Stanley Cup Game 7, let's say Penguins at home against Edmonton, or a ticket for the Super Bowl involving the Steelers, what would you choose? Or any team, really. I mean, he just said Steelers because we're a Pittsburgh podcast.
Yeah, it would be Penguins versus Edmonton every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. You couldn't a game 7 Stanley Cup final against Sid and McJesus, like come on. That's just a no-brainer for me. I would be more curious what your answer is because you love football.
For me, just because it's a dream of mine to attend the Super Bowl, I'd have to say the Super Bowl.
I get that because it's a little different because it's not just like in your hometown. It's like a big event.
Yeah,
It's like it's a practically a holiday here.
it's a trip. It's a vacation. Um, I could go to a Game 7 and be home the same night. It's, again, I think a Super Bowl is not that either are or attainable more than once, but I think I'd have a better chance of going to a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final uh, if I passed on that rather than passing on a Super Bowl ticket, especially for the Steelers. Um, I I would attend any Super Bowl if anybody gave me a ticket, just because I want to attend a Super Bowl, just to say I attended one as a sports fan, like a sports fan bucket list item. But I would have a hard pressed time to turn down a Super Bowl ticket for the Steelers over just about any other sporting ticket. It would be almost impossible.
There you have it. All right. Well, we'll move on to another question from Brian, and he says here the one team that I hadn't mentioned to Snail that's completely random and speaks to me for him is the Titans, the Tennessee Titans, right?
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure why, but when I see him as an NFL fan, that's who I see him rooting for. So Snail can get, you can get behind Mayo boy. Robbie will explain and be
boy.
a Titans fan. It's actually funny. My neighbor, she's married to a guy who played for the Titans, and he plays for the Buffalo Bills now. But I remember like this weird thing. I think the entire Titans team that year he was on it, they were all vegan for a year to like test it out and see how a vegan diet would affect their play. I don't think they made the playoffs.
I mean, fair, I guess. But okay, so the Mayo boy thing, this is disgusting. I can't even believe that I have to talk about this. But the Titans starting quarterback is Will Levis. Played for Penn State, but then transferred to the University of Kentucky. And he is a fan of mayo. Like, he enjoys mayo to the point where he admitted and showed them on camera that he would put mayo in his morning coffee.
Wow, that's disgusting.
That is it's
Um,
horrendous. And he has now signed a sponsorship deal with Hellman's Mayonnaise to create his own personal cologne scent.
a cologne mayo scent?
Yes.
Dude, that's ridiculous. Is this? Are you trolling me? Is this a
No,
joke?
I'm not. I wish I was trolling you because, again, I put mayo on sandwiches and stuff, but I
Yeah.
cannot eat mayo at all by itself. Like, it needs to be on. It is one that I'm repulsed by people that eat it because I just do not know how they stomach it.
Okay, so
But
wait a second. Let's talk about mayo for a second here. So, mayo is essentially
eggs,
it's just whipped eggs, and it's just kind of
basically.
like yeah, it's
Do they have
very
vegan
fatty.
mayo?
Oh yeah, it's
How do you make vegan mayo?
I think it's just like vegetable oil and soy,
Oh, okay.
maybe. It's really so I never was a mayo dude growing up. Like
Okay.
on sandwiches and stuff, I never would have. I would eat a dry sandwich over putting mayo on it. It was like an aversion thing. Like I hated the texture and stuff. Like, but then when I went vegan, I tried vegan mayo. It's weird because it's just like not really like it's just oily fluff. Like it's not
It
really
is.
like
It's basically eggs and oil. Basically, what it is.
it's just eggs and oil. So I typically go for like if anything that would need like a mayo spread on it, I just go for like avocado. I'll just mash up an avocado and spread it on there. Kind of gives the same like if you're trying to wet down a sandwich a little bit, add a little bit of moisture and fattiness to it. I'll go
Okay.
avocado. But I have started eating a little bit more vegan mayo on stuff just out of tradition. Like it's like my
Hmm.
partner, she really likes she'll put mayo on a whatever sandwich. So I started doing it. But like, dude, the mayo in the coffee, that's like
I
that
don't know
makes
how
me
it's
like
not.
kind of nauseous just thinking
Yeah.
about globbing like some of that. Okay, I've heard of people, I don't know if they do it in the UK or if it's a Canadian
Oh.
thing, but they dip French fries in mayo.
Okay. So this is or a European thing.
Oh, it
I
is.
don't. Yeah. Again, they could do it in Canada. I mean, they have poutine. I
Yeah.
mean, but okay, so they do dip it in. It is the condiment that they will dip it in. Now I don't know if it's just mayo or if it's like an aioli. Because like I've
There is a
had
difference.
there's a big difference because I can handle aioli on steaks or even as a dip. The aioli,
Totally. I've had aioli too. I've said it too many. I've heard it too many times now.
yeah,
It sounds weird, but I've had that as well. It's way different.
way different. Aioli is way different. It is mayonnaise, but you would if you taste test it, either you'd never be able to tell they were the same thing outside of the texture. But no, there are European countries. I think it's more like even like Germany, Belgium, maybe France, Netherlands. They will use mayo. Again, don't know if it's flavored or not as a dipping condiment, which to me is wild because I put it on stuff, but I can't have it be like the show stealer. I use it more for like a moisture, just to like get the bread,
It's
get some.
designed purpose.
Yes, its design purpose is not a dipping condiment. It's not a dip. It is to add just a layer of moisture to your bread, your sandwiches, hamburgers, whatever. But I cannot.
Precisely.
I, I I don't even really like the smell of mayo. And like it's weird looking. Like
Oh yeah.
it acts weird. Like it shakes, it
It's
jiggles.
gelatinous.
It's like it's like cloudy jello. Yes.
Oh god, it is. And it's yeah, and the fact that this guy puts it in his coffee, it's kind of weird cuz like, coffee creamer is it's to mellow out a black cup of joe.
Yeah.
But and I could understand like some people, have you heard of that like coffee that's called like I think it's called like bulletproof coffee or bullet it's a protein coffee
I think
that
I have. I heard something that or it's similar to that. Yeah.
so I'm wondering if he puts no, he's just a psycho. He just loves
Oh,
mayonnaise.
he's crazy.
I'm trying to reason and be like, maybe he's trying to make like a
No.
protein,
No.
like a
No.
fatty coffee. No, it's just mayo. He's just a mayo psycho.
Yeah, he's just sicko. Yeah, just don't even try to reason it. Just accept the weirdness of it all. But yeah, as for the Titans, I wouldn't choose them. They're boring.
Tennessee, like, yeah, it is. What's up with their conference or whatever or the division that they're in? Is it?
They're in with the Jaguars, Colts, and Texans. Sorry.
Okay, dude, kind of boring.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm seriously still I'm kind of leaning towards Seahawks. I think if Russell Wilson wasn't in Pittsburgh, it would have been I would have chosen Pitt. I would have hitched my wagon to Pittsburgh.
All right, that's fair.
But I have an aversion to Russell Wilson, so
I don't blame you.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. How are things looking out there in Steelerland with Russell? Is he going to be the backup?
No, he's gonna be the starter. They announced him yesterday as a starter, which
Oh, they did.
yeah, if anybody was paying attention, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, no, it wasn't really surprising. Everybody knew what he was brought in for. Again, not saying it'll last all season, but yeah, he's the starter week 1, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Interesting. I'll be paying attention, and I won't watch, but I'll be paying attention.
Good, good. All right, sticking with Brian here. Since it seems like you both are around the same age as Brian, I have to ask what your favorite Disney Channel original movie is. Brian says Brink is my answer, but they had so many great ones. Love they have 2 hockey-based movies, Ingenious and HE Double Hockey 6.
So yeah, Robbie, did you have cable growing up?
Yeah,
So you did you watch Disney Channel ever?
we did a little bit. We were more Nickelodeon Cartoon Network.
Me too.
Yeah, so I didn't watch a ton of Disney Channel. More when we were actually probably a little bit older, but we were more Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
Yeah, that same with my household. It was weird from the age of like maybe like 11 to like 14. It was like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, but I also as I don't know if you did this, Robbie, but I watched a ton of sports as a child. Like
I did too. I watched Sports Center. I'd literally just leave Sports Center on and keep watching it until
till
I couldn't
bedtime, right?
anymore. Yep. Yep.
I every night I would watch the recaps of like I'd watch sports Fox Sports Net, I'd watch ESPN. In the summertime I watched ESPN probably more than I ever watched cartoons from like the age of like 10 or so, 11 to like maybe 14ish. So but I did watch Disney Channel sometimes. I did watch Lizzie McGuire, probably just because of Hilary Duff. But I did catch some of these movies. I think also growing up, like some of these movies, I had to pull up the list of these Disney Channel original movies because I remember when they would air on Disney Channel, like every once in a while. But I watched some of these independently of actually watching the Disney Channel like network or whatever. And dude, the one movie I looked on here that stood out to me that I remember watching, and I would probably rewatch to this day, is Phantom of the Megaplex, which is 2000. It came out in 2000, Disney Channel original movie, and it was essentially loosely based on what's it called, the Phantom of the Opera. The classic Phantom of the Opera. It was pretty spooky. It was, looking back on it now, pretty cheesy, but left an impression on me. And when I was looking through this list, that was the one that really stood out to me the most. Robbie, did you have one that stuck out to you at all that you remember or you'd watch again?
I remember. I don't know why, but I remember like the Cheetah Girls.
Okay,
with Raven Simone, probably because we watched Everybody Loves, or what was that?
Everybody Loves Raymond. No, Everybody Loves Raven.
That's So Raven.
That's So Raven.
And then for some reason, Johnny Tsunami's racking my brain.
Oh yeah, that was a classic too.
Yeah. That's about really it. There wasn't too many. Like again, we didn't watch a ton of Disney Channel. We watched more like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network, a lot of Nickelodeon Cartoon Network, like a lot. Yeah.
What was your favorite Nickelodeon TV show?
Man, I loved Hey Arnold.
The best.
I loved Hey Arnold so much.
I'll watch Hey Arnold. I'll watch an episode of Hey Arnold today. That show aged really well. Like it's
on Paramount Plus, so like I have watched it. Like just watch it because it was I could get that. It's awesome. It's still so good.
It's the writing was actually so great. It doesn't feel like you're watching a kids show.
No, it's still so funny. Like it's still, I still laugh at it. It's still so funny.
Dude, the older we get, the grandfather in that, Phil, is hilarious. His one-liners that you just snuck by and kids didn't understand it. I still would I'll belly laugh at that show.
A little treat for the adults that had to sit through it. Was always a little. But like, I have it up here now. Like Wild Thornberries,
Yep.
Rocket. There was a Rocket Power game that we were obsessed with on like PS2.
Sick.
Doug,
Doug was great.
all that. I remember all that being on.
That was like our Saturday Night Live.
It was a kids sketch comedy show. Exactly what it was. And like I look at some of the people that played in that, and I'm like, dude, there were so many just good actors. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Keenan and Kel.
yeah, yeah. And when my brother is 4 years younger than me, so like the age gap meant like during the day we'd have a lot of Nick Jr. on.
Oh,
Um,
yep.
yeah, with Face. I don't know if you remember Face.
Yeah, I
Uh,
do.
yeah, a lot of like there was a lot of Blues Clues. Um, Steve from Blues Clues. But then we'd watch like Double Dare, Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Dude, Legends
Like,
of the Hidden Temple
yeah.
used to scare me as a kid. I thought it
Oh,
was just,
really?
yeah, just like kind of, I don't know, it was intense for me as a little kid. Do you remember a show called Gullah Gullah Island?
Yep, absolutely.
Dude,
Yep.
I thought that was a fever dream the older I got. And then come to find out on these like nostalgia Instagram pages, people are like, does anyone else remember this show? And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well, there was one. So in college, you remember the teams from Legends of the Hidden Temple, right?
I mean, like, I remember there were teams, but I don't remember
There was like
them.
blue and green, like
Oh,
different
yeah.
colors. Well, one time in college, my senior year, it was Halloween, and we were walking back to the apartment we stayed in, and four guys came walking down dressed as like the Blue Barracudas team from
The Blue
Legends of
Barracudas. That's
yeah
right. Yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
the Legends of the Hidden Temples, and it was just
That's an
again
epic costume.
they were our age, so it was like the perfect Halloween costume. The first you could get made for like $10. You threw on like a bike helmet, and you were pretty much ready to go. It was a genius idea, and I wish I would have thought of it.
That is a really genius idea, dude. Yeah, when it gets to be around Halloween time, we got to get some Halloween costume stuff going. Like talking like best Halloween
Oh,
costumes.
absolutely. We'll definitely be talking Halloween here in about a month and a half, 2 months.
That's like the perfect costume because it's kind of one of those if you know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's going to be some generation, whatever the new ones are, they're going to see that and be like, "Who the hell are you?" But
Yep,
it's,
absolutely.
but yeah, let us know, dude. Brian, I from the questions we've gotten from you regarding Disney Channel, you seem like a Disney kid. You do not strike me as a Nickelodeon child.
Yeah, I can feel that from Brian.
I think so.
All right, next up, it's for me.
Yeah. If Murashov starts in Wheeling, the boys should get together and go watch him play. The Wheeling Nailers, right? The
Yeah,
ECHL team that's
that would be
affiliated with the
the
Penguins.
Penguins ECHL
Are
team.
they in West Virginia?
They are right on the border of West Virginia. They're technically in West Virginia, and uh, but it's like right on the border. It's like a little sliver of West Virginia. It's probably 2-ish hours for me. It's right on Route 70. It wouldn't be that hard of a drive for me.
Nice. Have you ever
But
been to one?
I've never been. Well, okay, so Johnstown, where I live, used to have an ECHL team.
Oh, they did.
They did back
The
in
the
from 80
Johnstown what?
Chiefs.
The Johnstown Chiefs. Okay,
Yes.
can't use that name anymore.
No, well, they one of their jerseys was like a completely psycho Indian. Like, definitely would get canceled in 2024. Um, but so Wheeling used to come to. They used to be rivals, and I hated Wheeling growing up because I was a Chiefs fan. I absolutely loathed Wheeling, and there were a time like when the Penguins uh, did affiliate with the Johnstown Chiefs, so they were an affiliate. We had. You remember Danny Sabrin?
Yes, of course.
Danny Sabrin played in Johnstown.
Nice.
There was a stretch. So one year, I don't know if you remember the name Arturs Urbe. He played for
Oh
the.
yeah, Arter's
So
Artie.
he was somehow got in the doghouse with the Carolina Hurricanes then head coach. Don't remember who it was. So in response, they sent him to the ECHL. He came and played in Johnstown. It's when the Hurricanes were affiliated with the Chiefs, and Irving was a really good goaltender. So they had this NHL caliber goaltender playing in what was essentially Double A hockey. It was a league below even like the AHL. And when I tell you that it was pretty comical to watch these ECHL guys try to score on an
A Hall
NHL
of Famer,
He's not in the Hall of Fame, but
isn't he?
I don't think Urbe's in the Hall of Fame unless that changed within the last.
Hall of Fame induction 2010.
I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing he played for. Well, he was born in Latvia, but he was really technically he played for the uh, Soviets.
Oh, he was inducted into the International Ice Hockey Federation Hall of Fame. So.
That I believe. Yeah, he won two world championships. So, but yeah, he came to. Actually, now that I have it up here, let's see if I can. He played. Oh, was only here for 14 games. I didn't realize. I thought he was here for more than that. 14 games, 10-3-1, 927 save percentage, and a 213 goals against average. He was legitimately. It's like it was just. I mean, it was unfair basically because he was so much better than any goaltender they ever saw. So, but Wheeling used to come to Johnstown. I've seen the Nailers as a franchise play a lot because they were rivals with the Chiefs here in town. So I've never been to Wheeling, but I've seen them play as a franchise a good bit because of
because of Johnstown.
Yes,
it is pretty hilarious to just see on Arders Urbe's hockey DB. It's just like NHL teams, Carolina Hurricanes, and then all of a sudden for 7 games, Lowell Lock Monsters, Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm assuming Johnstown Chiefs for 14 games, and then back up with the Carolina Hurricanes for 10 the next year. And then that was the 03-04 lockout, I believe. Wasn't that when there was a lockout? 03-04?
No, 04-05.
Oh, 04-05. And then he goes over to Austria.
Okay, so it was pretty much he sucked. They couldn't trade him, and so they had to demote him to the ECHL, and then he was recalled in March. So he did have an injury that kept him out, but Kevin Weeks went on the IR and he got called back up, and that really 03-04 was his last stint in the NHL. He went back over to Europe after that, so that was his last run. But he had a pretty solid career. I mean, with the Sharks, and then Hurricanes were basically his 2 big teams with a couple other stops in there. But no, overall, good hockey player.
Good hockey player.
But yeah, that's my memories of the Wheeling Nailers. So good times. And then this question's for me, and we'll kind of roundtable this as much as you can roundtable a conversation between 2 people. What do we think would be a good nickname, like a good hockey nickname for Rutger McGroarty?
Yeah, you're going to need one because you Pennsylvanians are going to have a hell of a time pronouncing that last name. I don't know what it is about your accents, but you guys just can't. It's a little tough. So he actually has a nickname.
What do they have it as? Is it Groats?
No, it's Rut, and then he's also known as Fridge and Roger.
Okay, I won't lie. Like my suggestion was going to be Rudder.
Rudder,
yeah,
steady on the rudder. Rut makes sense. I like Fridge, but
do they have a reason for Fridge?
They didn't. There's literally just an Instagram video of him, and they're like, it's when he was in college, and they're like, what is your nicknames or whatever? And he was like, he named 3 of them, and it was Roger, Fridge, and Rut.
Roger, Fridge, and Rut.
Yeah.
Roger, I can kind of see. Somebody probably said his name like somebody who was drunk and probably said his name wrong one time.
Totally.
It got stuck at Roger, and it was like But do you remember when Brandon Sutter was known as Flat Stanley?
No.
Yeah, there was a time they called him Flat Stanley.
Is there any? You don't know why? That's such.
I don't think he knew. I remember him doing an interview, and he could not figure out why they called him that.
That's an interesting one, Flat Stanley. I kind of like that. Doesn't he not play in the NHL anymore? Didn't he have to? Didn't he have like long COVID?
He may have had. I don't know. I haven't heard his name in the context of hockey in quite some time. Penguin legend. He has not played since 2021.
He had like
which would have been. Yeah, he may. Oh, he may. Yeah, he may have had long code. Now that you say
I
that,
think he tried to PTO or something like that. I think I saw like randomly, like hadn't heard of him in years, and they tried to PTO and he got cut.
he is retired.
Oh man, legend.
Yeah, yeah, legend. He helped get us Nick Bonino,
Nick Bonino, that's
and
correct.
he was a part of the
The stall
stall
trade.
trade. Yep, he came with Brian. It's really crazy how that stall trade really branched out to so many different. It got us Brian Dumoulin, Brandon Sutter, who eventually was traded for Nick Bonino, and Derek Poyet.
Bust.
Bust, yeah, bust. Nick
But yeah,
Bonino and Adam Clendenning.
Adam Clendenning, he was floating around for a while still
He
too.
was, yeah.
But I was looking at, Rutgers. I like Roger a lot because I think it's hilarious. I feel like Roger, they started calling him that because that's his like drunken persona. Like when he gets
Yeah.
drunk, he turns in from Rutger to Roger.
Yeah.
But that last name is so interesting. Like there's lots of things you could. Yeah, I was thinking like Grorts, but that kind of still has that weird R that's in there that just feels like a little bit out of place. Rut's good. Ruddy.
Ruddy, Rudder. Somebody probably called him Groat once, and he's just like, no.
Groats too. I don't like that.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that our former co-host would call him.
I could see that.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they end up calling him. You know who I kind of miss on the call is God, what's his name? They just let him go last year. Longtime Penguins announcer, complete homer.
Oh,
No.
Bob Airy.
Bob
Oh,
Airy.
Bob Airy would come up with something completely unhinged.
He would call him something, and he would probably want him to go drop the gloves his first shift. And
Yeah.
I saw he got a job though. I think he's on a panel for some network.
Is he?
Bob Airy, yeah.
Oh, he could be. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really seen anything, so he could.
Do you miss Bob Airy at all? I know it's off topic, but like,
Not
I
really.
loved. Really, I loved Bob Airy.
I never really thought he was that great, to be honest. But hey,
Really?
Yeah, neither here nor there.
I think they should get the old 2-9er on TV more.
I think he will be on TV more this year. I really think that he's going to make a more permanent switch to the television side.
Agreed. But yeah, there you have it. Rut, Fridge is great too. Like, wasn't there a football player named Refrigerator Perry?
Yep, William Refrigerator Perry. Yeah, huge dude.
Wasn't he a Seahawk?
He may have been for a brief. He's mostly known for the Bears.
Maybe I'm thinking that. Yeah, maybe he wasn't a Seahawk.
He may have been a Seahawk for a brief stint.
Well, I'm sure some nickname will morph. I mean, the second Sid calls him something, it's probably going to stick. If Sid gives you a nickname, you probably run with that.
Yeah, whatever Sid calls him is what you should definitely stick with because it's Sid.
Do you know Mike Commodore?
Do I know Mike Commodore?
Like, not personally, but you know who he is. Do you know his reputation of like hating Babcock and Pierre?
He absolutely loves Babcock.
He has pretty good. I think his case is pretty solid for hating Babcock. But
dude, yeah, it is.
He used to call Pierre Maguire shit stain.
Did he really?
Yeah, like he would just all the time. It was because I think he something about like when they won the cup, he interviewed with Pierre Maguire. He had no one to interview or something. He couldn't find anyone, so he threw him a bone and was like, "Hey, I'll talk to you." And then like a year later, he like threw him under the bus super hard and was like ripping on him for something that wasn't his fault. And ever since then, and now to this day, it's funny the power of a nickname. When I see anything about Pierre Maguire, who I know he's out of the league now, he's not doing anything. But when I see him, I think of that. I'm just like, it's a horrible thing. I don't want to call Pierre a shit stain, but the power of a nickname will stick with you. So
absolutely,
it will be interesting to see what Rutger gets called here, because that name is just not going to be. You can't say that 10 times fast.
No, somebody's going to butcher it. Just something horrible too.
Oh yeah, it's really close to like obscenities. So, anyways,
yeah,
good question.
So yeah, that wraps us up for this episode. For questions wise, Snell, we got anything else we want to toss around?
I don't think so. I was looking around for any news that maybe had popped up or whatever, but I I don't think I don't think there's been any real hockey news, you know? I don't think anything's. I think I saw like Austin Watson signed a PTO with the Detroit Red Wings, and I was kind of hoping that the Penguins might pick up like a maybe like a heavyweight fighter of some sort, but no, he not, looks like not.
I believe Max Pacioretty is exploring options with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No way.
Yeah, I did see that pop up today. I don't know if anything was officially announced.
Would you take Patches on a PTO?
Dude, I don't even know. They said I think somebody said it was a different kind of contract. I don't even know if it's a PT. It was PT. It's like a PTO, but I think it's more of a you're going to be on the team unless something, or it might be a health kind of thing because he went through all those. Can't remember exactly what it was.
Is it kind of like what we had Brian Boyle on?
No, Brian Boyle I think was on a straight PTO.
Was on a straight PTO. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, I don't know if that dude's body has 50 games left. He's been so beat up.
It's the he has that Achilles.
Achilles, and I think he had a knee at one time too. And again, in his prime, great scorer, great hockey player. I just don't know if right now, man, you have so many old dudes on this team. He'd be one of the oldest players on the team. Like I think they said he's 37. And let's be honest, if we're picking between a roster spot for Max Pacioretty or Rutger McGroarty, I want McGroarty on that roster rather than him. But they did say that it could limit options for Nick Robertson.
Oh my God! Let's go! Let's go!
Let's drop that. Come on, Kyle. We need
Nicky Robertson.
Yes.
I'd take that kid over Max Pacioretty, but the Leafs, I hope that they just see value in a 37-year-old like Aaron Rodgers of the NHL with the Achilles, and I think he had the Achilles, and then he came back, played one game, broke his Achilles, or re-snapped his Achilles, and went right back, and then he played with. Did he play with the Caps last year?
Who's that?
Patches.
Yeah, Patches did. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they make a mistake and sign him, and you gotta make room for Patches. So come on down, Nick Robertson.
Absolutely, I would go with that.
But other than that, that's all. I guess that's all there really is hockey news wise. Still waiting for a Sid contract, but don't hold your breath.
Yeah. So I mean, they didn't announce training camp yet, but we've got to be within, I'd say,
3 weeks.
3 at the most, 3 weeks. So we'll see how everything goes.
Oh boy, September is a hell of a month too.
There's so much going on in September. It is insane how much stuff goes on in September. So yeah, it'll be fun. A lot of hockey coming up. A lot of sports just in general. If you're a sports fan, it's a great time of year. But
when you hear from us next, we will be in the great month of September for sports fans.
Absolutely.
What is it? So in September you get football back. Baseball is it the playoffs or the postseason? Or no, that's in October.
Yeah, but it's like the final push now.
The final push.
Yeah.
For baseball. Hockey camps are starting up. You're getting probably a lot more hockey news to finally talk about. Do you get college football in September?
Yep. College football is actually really starting tonight.
College football starting tonight, so you'll have college football in September. The weather starts to change. I actually saw a school bus today on my commute home from work, so definitely a sign that September is near. Dude, yeah, it's exciting stuff. So the next time you hear from us, it will be the great month of September.
It will be, and we look forward to talking to all you guys then. So for Snail, I am Robbie. Have a good weekend. Have a good long Labor Day weekend, actually.
Labor Day. Yeah, everyone gets after it one last time before school starts.
Yes, get the beers flowing, the barbecue running, and you guys enjoy your holiday weekend. We will talk to you guys next week.